Hello and welcome to Box with Lizzie. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hey, thanks, Lizzie. I'm DILAN SKIES. So I'm a singer-songwriter from London, and I just released my album last October, and I'm back again in 2026 with new music. So that's me.
Well, what inspired you to start writing music?
Well, I think the passion for music became apparent when I was quite young. So my parents used to listen to Indian music a lot, um, and I didn't understand any of the lyrics, so I always used to pay attention to the melody, and I realized I used to connect to the music even though I didn't know what was going on. So that kind of made me interested in music. I guess that's the best answer.
Do you remember roughly how old you are when you started thinking that you wanted to be a musician?
Yeah, I was always a dreamer, so probably about 5, yeah.
Oh, wow,
But
that's very early.
I didn't really have any musical talent at the start. I just always used to sing, and I guess because I was always practicing without realizing, then I just developed a singing voice halfway.
Hmm. It's very lucky then. So in 2020, you released your first song called Not Over You. Can you tell us more about how it felt to release your first song, especially in a period such as so weird like 2020 when we were all in lockdown? Can you sort of
Yeah,
like tell us, were there any things that you struggled with, anything that made you nervous?
yeah, definitely. 2020 was a weird time. So I was at university and that's when I had lockdown. So all my exams and stuff were online, all my lectures were online. So I kind of missed a bit of the partying and the fun, but that made me like be able to just zone in on music because there was nothing else going on. So that's when I took the punt and decided to release my first song. But the process behind it was that I kind of just came across this beat online and I really liked it. Um, and I was like, okay, let me sit here and write a song. And then within like 10 minutes, the whole song came together. And I felt like, wow, that's like, I didn't know I could do that because I was always writing, but I used to just write little notes on my phone. And just to see a whole song just come together like that, I felt the butterflies. I was excited. I was like, wow, this is something. Let me release it. And at the time, it was interesting because I never used to show my face anywhere. I was actually I had a cartoon character as a picture. All my social media had like no one I knew on it. So it was completely faceless. So when I released that song, I realized that people were listening without me, without even knowing who I was. And that was really interesting. And that made me want to like zone in even more and learn all about songwriting, about production, and try and get to that next level. So
Were you studying something music-based in university or were you studying something completely different?
no, completely different. So I was studying economics. So
Oh, wow.
yeah,
Yeah, that is completely different.
yeah, nothing to do with music. But I actually did a little bit of music in GCSEs. So in my exams in school, that was actually the only subject that I failed.
Oh, wow. That's
Yep,
very
yep.
ironic considering that now
Exactly.
you're a musician. That's wow. Crazy. So, were there any other struggles or difficulties in your music making journey? And was there anything in specific that pushed you to keep going? Maybe it was the fans, the streams, or just the fact that you've been wanting to do this since you were 5 years old?
I think the biggest struggle was that I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't really have a mentor. I didn't have any like instrumental like background or learnings. As I said, I failed my music. Um, yeah, I didn't know what I was doing and trying to work it out all by myself. It was kind of just that struggle because I didn't know how to even release a song, how to put it together. So it was just something I had to teach myself. So that was like the main struggle. And then secondly was probably finding out the sound that makes me who I am, you know? So I think trying to get myself and my sounds from my head into like the into my music production and into my songs, that was the main challenge, really.
Do you think your music fits a specific genre? And would you be open to exploring other genres, maybe pop, maybe more, I don't know, classical music? Who knows?
Well, I think people would say pop R&B is kind of the blend of my music. So I used to listen to loads of Craig David in the when I was growing up into the 2000s. So that was very R&B, Justin Timberlake, so very pop, and then growing up Justin Bieber, obviously couldn't
Oh,
get away from him.
good
So
artist.
yeah.
Love a good
And
Justin Bieber
also
song.
yeah, you can't go wrong with Justin
That's true.
Bieber.
There's a song for everyone.
Exactly, exactly. And I think his music has been cool to see because we've watched him grow up. So his sound has obviously developed, and I feel like it kind of aligns to me because we're obviously similar age, kind of, I think. But yeah, I think that just aligns and it makes sense. So I think this year 2026, now that I've put an album out, I kind of showcase what DILAN SKIES is, and 2026 is now about pushing the boundaries. So I'm definitely doing more in other genres and trying out different sounds. So one of my next singles coming up is actually more in the hyperpop realm, and that's
Ooh.
something I've not even touched before. So yeah, I'm excited about that.
Can you tease maybe something about the new single, maybe the name or roughly
Yeah,
when it's gonna release?
yeah, sure. So the next song is actually called Paparazzi. Um,
Ooh.
so it's a collab with one of my friends called Milk Snake. So we actually just released a song together, and we're releasing another one. And the way this one has come about is she had this concept and she brought it to me, and she was like, "I think you'd really fit on this." And I was like, "Wow, this is so different to everything I've done before," and it just felt fun because that's something I've been chasing because in the album I kind of had to make sure that all the songs fit like a box kind of because it has to make sense on the album, it has to tell a story. And now that I'm out of that and I can just do whatever I want, I just want to have fun. So I'm just experimenting a bit more with the sound.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you recently released your song Passenger Princess. Can
Yep,
you walk
yep.
us through the songwriting process, how you brought the song to life, maybe a little bit more about the meaning of the story?
Yep. Well, this is one of the songs I think that just represents fun, and I think it brings out my personality a bit more because, like, in terms of lyrics, this is just me messing about, and I think that's something I haven't done so much with music. So the way it actually started is, I had a demo that I created at home, and it was just like keys, a bass, and some drums, but I thought it sounded amazing, and I was like, wow, I can't believe I put this together, and the melody just came to me straight away. So the opening lyrics were she's a passenger princess. And I was like, what is this? Why does it sound so good? I recorded it. And then I was like, I think I need to try and take it to the next level because I'm not really a producer in that sense. I'm kind of good enough to get my ideas out of my head now. But I can't do all the technical things yet. That's something I'm still learning. So I went to my friend Milk Snake, who I'm working on another single with. And she was like, yeah, I'm gonna help you take this to the to where you want to take it. So yeah, we just met up in the studio and we just built it out. And yeah, that's how it all came about. But it's just a fun song, really. If you listen to the lyrics, there's not much of a emotive story behind it. I think it was something that I think melodically it just spoke to me and I thought it was quite fun.
Not all songs need a meaning. They can just be fun to listen to. Was it your first
Yep.
time working with a producer in a studio, or have you been working with her previously?
No, so I've been doing previous songs in studios. I do loads online, so sometimes, as I say, I produce the demos at home and then I send it off. And we actually work with, well, me and my other producers, we work online together. So they might share their screen on Zoom and then they're showing me what they've done to the song, and I'm giving suggestions, I'm singing things out. They're like putting the notes down. So we kind of work like that. But I've also done a camp last October actually. So when my album came out, I went to Germany and that was really cool because I got
Wow.
to meet I got to meet one of my friends out there who's been producing some of my music, and it was a cool experience because it was in the middle of nowhere in Germany, and the studio we were in was actually like a farmhouse, so it was a barn and they converted it into a
Very,
studio.
very different vibe, I'm sure, from what from what you're
Yeah,
used to. It's
yeah, and
also nice
one
to, I'm sure, make music in different places. It gives you like a whole more, a lot of inspiration and just a different atmosphere.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's nice to be outside of my room. And creating with people in real life is always different. But to be in that studio was just so funny because when I walked in, they were like to me, they were telling me the history about how the studio came about, and it was just brand new. And they said 2 months ago, this whole studio was full of cows, and now you're here.
Oh,
So I was like to them, yeah, hopefully I'm better company.
were the cows still around? Maybe they were sort of
They got
background
moved.
noise, or were
No,
they
they got
gone?
moved. They got moved. They
Oh,
couldn't make
okay.
they couldn't do the harmonies and the background vocals, unfortunately.
They got fired.
Yeah, they
Oh
got
no.
fired.
So, do you have any role models or people that you look up to? I know you mentioned Justin Bieber and Justin Timberlake, which were artists that you that you grew up with. But do you have any role models, people that inspire you, people that you sort of want your music to sound like?
I think in terms of role models, I think the artists I tend to look at are the artists who I can see develop. So when their sound is developing and they still got it sort of thing, that's what I kind of focus on. And I just like seeing how people find their sound and change their sound without losing their element. I think that's kind of the thing that draws me to artists. So one that I'm really following right now are the One Direction lads, for example. So yeah,
Love
I'm a
One
big One Direction
Direction.
fan. But I love seeing how they all went. well, they were all individuals just kind of thrown in together.
Hmm.
And then they had a big moment with One Direction. And now they all just went their own ways, but they all found their own sounds. They're still able to tour, they're still charting. It's really cool to see how everyone had their own unique spin on like
Do you
what
have a
makes them
favorite
them.
member?
Zayn, I have to say Zayn. I
Oh,
really
I
like
love
Zayn.
Zayn. Zayn has such good music.
Yeah,
Oh.
I really like Zayn. I really like Niall. But
Hmm.
yeah, I think
I love
everyone's got
him.
their own sound and they all have their own moments. Like whenever the album comes out of whoever it is at the time, I'm always listening to that and I'm just listening to see how did it change from their old album? Why is it different to One Direction? And I think it's quite cool.
Louis Tomlinson is actually releasing an album next week.
Yeah. So I'm really
He's,
excited about
yeah,
that.
me
I
too. I'm very excited.
I liked his single Lemonade.
Oh, I
And I
love
think he's got
Lemonade.
some more. I've just been listening to some teasers. And
Hmm.
then there's going to be a Harry Styles album apparently, and
Yes.
Zayn new music and a tour, maybe now, hopefully. But yeah, it seems
Hopefully,
like
yeah.
a busy
So
year.
all of them are basically reuniting just by
Yeah,
all making music this year. Do you have a
exactly.
dream collaboration?
Dream collab. I don't know. I feel like with collaborations, it has to. I always feel that the artist who I collab with has to be someone that does something that I can't do, sort of.
Hmm.
So that's kind of how I feel about collabing. But I'm doing a lot more this year, and it does fit that bill. So there's loads of artists that I'm working with who bring a different element that I can't do, for example. But in terms of a dream collab, um, I don't know. You know what? I'd say someone like Sean Paul because it's such a different element to what I do. So he would bring like a dance hall. He'll bring loads of vibes, like loads of fun energy. I think he would be good. It has to just be someone who's completely different to me. I think that would be the dream. But
Maybe
I
Harry
always say Sean
Styles.
Paul. Yeah,
I mean,
Harry
that's a
Styles
pretty
is.
different,
Yeah,
pretty different
yeah.
genre.
I don't know if he'll have me on a song though. That's the thing. But
Maybe.
yeah, you never know.
Yeah, you never know. I don't think Harry Styles has done a collaboration.
Has he not on his
Sure.
solo?
I'm not sure.
Hmm. Maybe he's
Maybe,
had enough
correct
of
me
it.
if
He's
I'm
done.
wrong, but I'm pretty sure he hasn't.
Yeah, now that you
But
say it. Yeah.
yeah, because I don't remember anything. But is there something specific they hope to achieve with your music?
Well, I think as a kid, I used to always look at charts, music charts, and I just used to find it fascinating how a song is climbing the charts or how someone would know like previous history or know a name just debuts on the charts. I used to find it really interesting. So I used to come home after school and I just used to look at the charts and see how it was moving. And I know it's not a metric that you're supposed to follow, and you're meant to say numbers don't mean a thing, but because of like my history with that, I'd love to have a song that one day charted even if it wasn't like my own release as a songwriter, I'd love to be a part of that. So that would be kind of the big dream.
So your song Passenger Princess, again talking about that, it reached 1,000 streams. How did that feel?
Oh, that was amazing because it was one of the fastest songs to get to 1,000 for me. So that was really cool. And I took a little bit of a break from posting and stuff after the album. I just needed a little bit of a break. So it was just nice to have that song and see that, you know, people didn't just disappear. People are still here listening.
Yeah.
I think that's always nice.
When you're not writing songs or making music, is there something that you like to do to wind down, to relax that isn't music focused? Or do you always, even if you're not specifically writing, are you always thinking about music? Is music like everything in your mind?
No, to be honest, I think music is just always there. Like, even if I went on holiday somewhere, I'll just hear a melody and then I'll be writing a song. Like, for example, one of my songs, the opening of my album is called I Do, I Did. And I actually went to Morocco and I was on holiday there with some of my friends. And we were doing this thing where you go on a hot air balloon, but you got to go really early in the morning because you want to catch the sun rising. So we drove out to the desert at like 4 a.m. And all of us were absolutely tired, like waking up so early after like just flying in. We went to this desert. We were all sleeping in the car. I remember I woke up, we got to the desert and we were about to board the hot air balloon, and this melody was just in my head and I couldn't get it out of my head. And I was like, what is this? What is this? Is it a song I heard? Is it something that was playing in the radio while I was asleep? And I went and ran away while everyone was boarding the hot air balloon. And I just voice recorded it. I was like, this is sick. I was like, wow, this is really something. And for the whole trip, I was obsessing over that, the melodies and the lyrics. And I ended up writing the song, like some of the song I wrote on the flight over back home. And then as soon as I got home, I went straight to the studio and I got it all recorded. And yeah, that's just something that it is like. music just never turns off. It's just always there. So I don't
Even
think
if
I
you're
ever get a
not,
chance. Yeah, never
even if
get a
you're
chance
not
to
thinking
wind
of
down.
music, it's just
Yeah, it
there.
just comes to me. Comes to me. Yeah.
So I know there's a lot of really good things and really fun things about being an artist, but are there some things that you don't necessarily like? And are there some things that you like more about being an artist?
I think before I would say content was something that I used to hate. So obviously being kind of faceless when I first started, I used to feel like a safety of not showing myself. But I kind of came to realize that I'm doing all this work and I'm not making myself visible. It's really letting me down. So I think now I've grown a lot more comfortable being on camera, like posting stuff, making a fool out of myself on TikTok. I've got no shame in that actually. So I think yeah, mainly posting content, and I think that's what most people, most artists, they kind of don't like. But I've come to like it now that I've seen that I'm able to put myself out there, and I'm not getting any like hate or any negativity. It's been overwhelmingly positive, and I think that's always really cool. Just seeing how you putting yourself out there, it kind of affects other people in ways that you wouldn't really expect. Like I can make a song, and it could be a song that's not got any meaning to me, but then it could be something that someone in, for example, South America that I would never have ever connected with, they might have found that song and they maybe made it part of their daily routine, for example. So I think it's cool, and I think content is something that you gotta be comfortable with as an artist these days.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of artists that also will post like incredibly funny TikToks and it's also another thing that makes you just more well known. So, do you have, apart from the new song that you teased with us, Paparazzi, do you have any more plans to release any more music in 2026 or maybe even do a few shows?
Yeah, so I've got loads of songs on the way. So I was in the studio last night actually,
Oh, wow.
and that was much more of a darker R&B song, more villainous. I always say I'm trying to be in my villain era. That's kind of one of the jokes I have. Trying to just change my sound a bit this year. So as I said, I was experimenting a lot more with my sounds, but I've got loads of songs actually coming up, quite a few collabs. Hopefully some music videos, but it's going to be non-stop this year again. So. I'm looking forward to that. And in terms of shows, I think that's one thing that's like top of the bucket list. Like I need to do a show. It's been a long time since I've been on stage. It's probably been like 2 years.
Oh, wow.
Um, yeah, and I feel like I need to really like get back into it because it's a whole different game to be honest. Like when you're on stage, you got to fill the stage. You kind of stand there awkwardly. You got to talk to the fans, and you got to enjoy it. You got to be in the moment, and I think that's something I need to work my way back into. So when I do a show, I'm not sure if it'll be this year. I'm targeting something this year, but yeah, I definitely need to make the time to get my performance
Do you
practice
have
in.
a dream place where you'd want to do a show on, maybe Wembley, Madison
Yeah.
Square Garden?
I think Madison Square Garden is everyone's, but I think
That's true. That's
Wembley's
true.
Wembley's just very close to home. So if I could have a home show, um, and it was a sellout, for example, even if it wasn't, even if one person one person turned up just to say that I did a show in my own
I'd be
hometown.
there.
Yeah, yeah, that would be really good. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, that'll be the one person if no one else shows up. No, I'm sure you'd have so many people, especially all the people that keep streaming your songs.
Yeah.
So, one final question. Is there something you'd like to say to your younger self about your progress and how that you've made it this far? Just some words of advice.
Mm, to be honest, I wouldn't say anything because I think like just having no guidance kind of really helped because it made sure that I was like I had the passion and the drive to figure things out myself. And I think if I gave any advice, then the younger me would be a bit more lazy and be like, oh, everything will work out anyway. So I think yeah, I won't talk to that guy. Let him suffer and let him learn. I think that's the best way.
It's a very interesting response. Very unique, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for letting me interview you today. And yeah, hope for you to be back on the podcast soon. I'll be linking everything there is to know about you, your Instagram, your TikTok, all down below. And thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you for having me.